Hand cannons have been the cult classic, all-time favorite among Destiny veterans for as long as Destiny has existed. Hand cannons have been the staple primary weapon for PvP lovers for nearly a decade now, and over the years they've been the topic of much debate. We nerfed their range, we buffed their range, we nerfed their body shot damage so they require all headshots. We introduced new archetypes and then deleted those archetypes. We took swings at their accuracy cones under various conditions, and ultimately we've come to the current meta in Destiny, which has left hand cannons in a somewhat strange position in the game. So in today's video, I want to talk about where hand cannons fall currently, what factors led them to landing in that position, and then ultimately ask the question, hey, are we happy with where they are? But really quick, let me just say again, you did not win a giveaway on my channel. If you see somebody with my profile picture responding to your comment saying, you won, just pay me some money via Telegram. That's not me. That's a very obvious scam. I keep getting messages of people who are like, hey, I sent the money, where's my PC? Guys, please stop falling for this. It is a scam. Don't do it. Okay, so let's talk hand cannons. You might love them, you might hate them, you might be indifferent to them, but most people do have strong feelings about them, so please try to stay respectful to one another in the comments section below. So, okay, where are hand cannons at right now? Well, let me hit you with some numbers, and try to follow me on these because they do matter. If we look at Trials of Osiris, where teams are really trying to win, this last weekend, hand cannons were in the number 5 spot behind sidearms, pulse rifles, sniper rifles, and shotguns. But talking specifically about primaries, they were in the 3rd place behind sidearms and pulses, with SMGs close on their trail, only used 1% less than hand cannons. And going back the week before on Excess Blue, they were in the 3rd spot there as well for primaries, behind sidearms and SMGs, by quite a big gap though. And further back still, again on Burnout, they were in 3rd behind sidearms and SMGs. The last time that hand cannons were on top in Trials was actually October 7th on Endless Veil, where they were the most overall used weapon type, beating out pulse rifles and SMGs by nearly 1 million kills, and beating sidearms by 2 million kills. But that was a bit of an anomaly, as pulse rifles were on top the previous 2 months. Before that, the last time hand cannons had an extremely decisive victory in Trials was actually way back in June, when they were responsible for 14.3% of all kills that weekend, and the next best primary was pulses with 8%. But if you go back to March, holy cow, it was a different game back then. They led with a 22.4% kill percentage, totaling over 10.5 million total kills. They were the undisputed kings of the Crucible. Sidearms sat comparatively at literally just 1% with 500,000 kills. So what the heck happened? I mean, right now, hand cannons fall far behind in usage rates, bowing to the kills being accumulated by sidearms, SMGs, and pulse rifles. They don't even make a podium finish. There's actually a pretty long list of factors that led to this, so let's start working down the list one by one. First up, hand cannons have always been the go-to primary for decent players because when you couple good movement with hand cannons, it's hard to beat them. They do big burst damage, and in all the downtime in between shots, you can strafe in and out of cover, you can jump over the doorway, slide into the lane, you can jump, shoot, double jump in a different direction, shoot again, you get the idea. A good player was able to maximize their outgoing damage while simultaneously limiting their incoming damage for the best potential results. But Bungie saw this. It had been a thing since way back in Destiny 1 days, and they decided they wanted to mitigate that skill gap a bit. Hand cannons didn't have their moment in the spotlight. I mean, they lived a dog's entire life expectancy in the spotlight, and Bungie wanted a change. So they targeted that relationship between movement and hand cannons. So from now on, hand cannons won't be reliable while jumping or sliding. You'll take extra flinch, or you won't land as many shots from the air. And that's factor number 1. Now, SMGs and sidearms are still rather effective from the air, and due to the nature of their rates of fire, a missed bullet here or there isn't going to dramatically affect the outcome of the fight like a missed bullet does with a hand cannon. And so instead of changing their whole play style to accommodate for the new weaknesses of hand cannons, players largely opted instead to pick up SMGs and sidearms that had good range. And that's just one reason, a really big reason for sure, but that's one reason that hand cannons have taken a major hit. Let's move on to another factor. Sniper rifles took some pretty hefty nerfs. They became harder to use under fire and lost lots of their aim assist at deeper ranges if you preferred the scopes that most PvP players like. Couple that with the fact that Bungie started shoving huge maps with long lanes down our throats, and you've got the perfect conditions for players to start leaning hard into pulse rifles with good range. Bungie stripped away maps with closer ranged engagement distances like Retribution, Solitude, and more. We've been down that list. And instead, the map rotation now largely consists of big maps like Midtown, Eternity, Cathedral of Dusk, Vostok, Disjunction, Widow's Court. Instead of like trickle feeding in some larger maps into the rotation, they yanked the small ones out, save for a few, and shoved a ton of huge maps in and then weighted them in the rotation. So hand cannons took another hit because players got tired of switching off the hand cannon when a big map came around time and time again, and then switching their armor mods as well. You may as well just play a pulse rifle with an SMG or pulse sidearm and be done with it. In addition to all that, we saw buffs to auto rifles, pulse rifles, sidearms. These were big buffs too, not small ones, and the need to run a hand cannon just kept diminishing. I asked people on Twitter to weigh in on the discussion and provide some insights from their perspectives, and the post has hundreds of responses. Sir Demetrius said pulses crush them at mid to long range, SMGs crush them at mid to close range. They easily get flinched to Kingdom Come, and you're left with this little sliver of optimal range where you have an advantage over other weapons. GameSager noted the increase of flinch, saying, if a hand cannon gets flinched off one shot, you're losing 33% of your time to kill. With an SMG, it's no big deal. So, we've established where hand cannons are right now and why. But now we have to ask the question, is this a good thing? Is it good that hand cannons are finally taking a backseat to other weapon archetypes? I'm not at all prepared to say that the meta right now is exceptional, but I will say that the variety in primary weapons is kinda nice. I do think sidearms can have that 30% aim assist to drop off buff cut literally in half and bring that back down to 15% instead. That would be something I would like to see, but overall, I really like the fact that I don't know if someone is going to be bringing an auto rifle, an SMG, sidearm, hand cannon, pulse rifle, scout rifle into our duel. Having hand cannons not be on top with as many as the next 3 primary types combined is kind of a nice change of pace. I don't think hand cannons are in a terrible place personally, and they can still put in absolutely massive work if you're hitting your shots and limiting your vulnerable time out of cover, but they certainly are not the undisputed kings anymore, and they have some genuine competition in the other weapon types. By their very design, I think hand cannons will always be above average in a game like Destiny, and they will survive this meta just fine, I'm sure of it. But what do you think? Are you a fan of where hand cannons fall right now, or would you prefer to see their usage go up to any degree? What changes, if any, would you make to the PvP landscape personally? I know that for me, the map rotation is actually a huge part of what makes PvP not so great right now, and I cannot wait for them to scrap some of these maps and bring us new maps that are universally loved. When was the last time they made a new map that everyone loved? It's been a long time. And maybe even unvault some favorites that wrongfully got the shaft. It's just kind of crazy to me that we are this late when the game launched in 2017. It's now 2022 and the maps that people get excited about are still the beta maps with Endless Veil and Javelin 4. So talk to me down below in the comments section, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, be warm and well fed, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.